Syrian activists are reporting clashes and shelling in the Golan Heights, where a group of UN peacekeepers are currently being held hostage by Syrian rebels. The United Nations is demanding the immediate release of the 21 peacekeepers. The militants say they're using the observers as human shields and will hold them until Syrian government forces pull back from a nearby village. RT's Middle East correspondent Paula Sleer has the details.
All 21 UN personnel were unarmed. They're all from the Philippines, and we've heard from the Philippines Foreign Office, who has demanded their immediate release. The Philippines government says that they are being treated well, that negotiations are underway to try and secure their release. The militants are admitting that they took these UN personnel to try and prevent an attack by Assad's loyalists. In other words, what we're seeing is that the rebel forces are using this UN team as human shields. Now, the UN has, of course, condemned this action. We've heard criticism, particularly from Moscow at the United Nations.
There is no reason at all, under any circumstances, any kind of a sick imagination to try to harm those people. So clearly gross disrespect for United Nations, gross disrespect of international norms of behavior.
Now, the United Nations is currently also involved in negotiating their immediate release. According to the United Nations, its team were on a regular mission in the area. We're talking about an area not far from the Israeli-Syrian border. It happened earlier on Wednesday when they were taken hostage.
UN teams came under fire from the Syrian rebels last year, and a group were also seized near the Jordanian border this January. Well, let's get more on the hostage crisis now from Jason Liosatos. He's activist and radio host at Global Peace Radio. Jason, the US and the EU, they've urged the immediate release of these hostages. Do you think the rebels will listen?
Well, the thing is, we've got to first put into context what the rebels are. There's obviously some nice rebels there, but the Syrian rebels are literally murder tools for the US and the West. So they're throwing money, I think $60 million now at the rebels, and there's chaos ensuing, obvious, and the UN kidnap is just consequences and feedback loops of lack of vision and wisdom. It's chaos.
In other words, this is backfiring on the Western support there, because it seems that these rebels are totally out of control. Indeed, I even spoke to somebody from the Syrian National Coalition who said he's urging them to release the hostages, but they seem to be going their own way here.
Yeah, because it's the new way of waging war by the West and the US. You fund the rebels. They're people who are really angry. You give them what they want. You know, if I give you a rocket launcher and you kill someone, then it's aiding and abetting. It's still murder. So you're dealing with people who are really angry, and it's chaos. But I truly believe that's the idea. They create their outcomes from the chaos. This is what they want. Create chaos is the new way of war. Create chaos in a country. When it's all gone mad and it settles down, then you go in and get what you wanted in the first place, and there's no bodies coming home in coffins. There's no public outcry. It's very clean. It's cheaper. And this is what we're seeing. It's disgraceful behaviour, and it's terrorism by the US and the West. It is. It's a fact.
Isn't there not still a genuine grassroots rebellion and uprising by the Syrian people against the Assad regime, and they want help?
Yes, I do believe that there is. And Assad is no angel, obviously, but and I think this is the new thing we're seeing in all the countries, Egypt, Tunisia, all these places. The people rise up against the dictators, and then, of course, the West comes in. And I think now what's happening, the people know when they rise up that they'll get help eventually. And unfortunately, yes, the people want change, but I keep saying to people, it's no different to if people rose up against Obama. Assad's no angel, but he's created far less crimes against humanity than any of the Western governments, that's for certain. And I don't blame the people for wanting... Go on, sorry.
Can you put all the onus on the West? We're seeing a lot of support from the Arab League now. They're saying they will actually help now arm the rebels. And many Gulf states and Arab states are supporting the rebels, so it's not just Western countries.
No, it's not. It's not just Western countries, obviously. But what is the really sad thing is that each country that's contributing to the uprising it is looking at the way that they're going to benefit from it when it all dies down. This is the sad thing. So we're seeing ethical compromises on a huge scale here, and people are getting used to it more and more. And you know, it's very, very sad what's happening there. And unfortunately, it's always used as an end result.
But Jason, sorry to ask you, I've got to ask you, how will they benefit when actually the danger is, if Assad goes, you're going to end up with a rogue state run by extremists?
Well, this is the thing, and this is where lack of vision and wisdom come in. Unfortunately, it's all about short-term greed and gain and an insatiable lust for power and control, and often that blinkers your wisdom and vision for an outcome. In the end, it's all about short-term outcomes, and they're not looking at the feedback loops, the consequences of their actions now, which, like the UN kidnapping, there's worse to come. The loops are coming back, and they're going to knock our teeth out. And unfortunately, that greed dulls off and chokes off our ethics and morals, and we're seeing ethical compromises now, which is one of humanity's greatest threats, in my opinion.
Jason Liasatos, radio host at Global Peace Radio, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Good to hear your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, leading up to the hostage crisis, Western powers and their Arab allies have been stepping up support for the Syrian rebels. Arab League ministers have decided to let member states arm anti-government fighters, but some, like Germany, have surprisingly warned against sending weapons to the militant opposition. Berlin has also so far remained hesitant over a training mission, unlike Britain and France. RT's Anissa Nawi has this report.
The shift is on the heels of Secretary of State John Kerry announcing last week that the U.S. would finally provide direct aid to the Syrian opposition and help push forward the two-year fight to topple President Assad. The gist here, though, non-lethal aid. Opposition groups, despite not being united, are already getting plenty of cash, arms and training from friends in the region, especially Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Well, not only were the rebels disappointed the U.S. isn't being more generous with their weapons, they're having a bit of a laugh online. Check out this video that has emerged on Facebook of fighters on the ground trying to survive on so-called non-lethal weapons. Take a closer look. Spray bottles, a chair even, what looks like some kind of sanitizing hand gel is seen later in the video. You can hear what sounds like actual intense shelling at some points, with the only defense these silly makeshift weapons. Surely many civilians on the ground won't find this funny, especially with the international community finally realizing the fact that sending more arms, especially lethal arms, could worsen an already dire situation. Most recently, Germany's foreign minister warning against sending arms to militants in Syria, saying that such a measure would broaden the conflict in the country and throughout the region.
Anissa Nawi there.